We'll start with Kirtan. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Gandharvika Giridhari Gaura Hari Jayo Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Radhe Jayo Radha Kunj Bihari Radhe Radhe Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Ananta Dev Lakshmi Narasimha Narasimha Jayo Prahalad Maharaj Jayo Pancha Tattva Jayo Pancha Tattva Pancha Tattva Jayo Pancha Tattva Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gaura Hari Bol नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की श्रील प्रभुपाद की
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare. So we are very happy to have His Grace Vikram Chaitanya Prabhu and Her Grace Aishwarya Vrinda Mataji. And this plan, Mataji and Prabhu, they have been preparing for almost, I think, more than a year. And we are not ready. We did not have a slot here. Some or the other, it was getting rescheduled. But today the day has come, and today both of are here now. So let's welcome them by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Both Prabhuji and Mataji are very wonderful devotees, been connected with our center since 2015. They were in United States where they were connected to Krishna consciousness, and then later they got initiated here from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswamiji Maharaj, and a very wonderful couple and practicing Krishna consciousness. So today they will be talking about Grihastha, especially before entering Grihastha, what is the purpose and what should be the mood of Grihastha as a Prabhu or Mataji. So Prabhu and Mataji both will explain that. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask the questions, make it very interactive, any questions, any doubts. And it is really our good fortune because they have been doing a lot of research, going through the different scriptures, Srila Prabhupada's purpose, and understanding and making very, very practicable to all of us to understand. And since because as a congregation, most of the devotees, either you become brahmachari or you enter grihastha. There is no third. So many of us here might be entering grihastha ashram. So this is a good opportunity to understand that. And since next weekend is a long weekend, and also we are doing the Govardhan Puja on Saturday, so we will not have Sunday feast. So we will not have the part 2 of this session. So we will have the part 2 session 3rd plus 7, 10th of November, following weekend. Is that fine? So today's session will focus on what is to be done before entering Grihastha, and the 10th of November, once you enter, what is to be done. So we'll hear from both of them. So let's welcome once again wonderful devotee, His Grace Vikram Chaitanya Prabhu and Her Grace Aishwarya Vrinda Mataji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Seeking your blessings.
करो स्टार्ट तो इधर कुछ नहीं technical glitches like always in material world. I have.
I leave little early. I have to go 11:50.
काम धोखा दे रहा है तो
It's working, right, bro?
it's
Prabhu is saying
working
that-
there, but
Prabhu is saying that he can help you.
okay.
Oh, it's not able to see anything here.
Here,
Do control P and duplicate those. Say control P.
Windows P.
Windows. And say duplicate.
हाँ आ गया ना?
हाँ, वो उधर भी वैसे ही आ रहा है.
एस्केप करो.
Slide.
उसको एस्केप करो ब्रो. निकाल दीजिए उसको.
Oh, internet is slow.
अभी because he got hang.
Hang हो रहा है.
क्या किसी सॉफ्टवेयर में है क्या?
सॉफ्ट कॉपी है. कोई और लैपटॉप.
Somebody has a laptop? Can have
Here
laptop?
you can see this what's happening. What's the light?
Just check. It's getting hang now.
It's hung, huh?
Too much of other process. Windows P.
हाँ प्रोसेस किल करते हैं.
Apps which are open.
कोई भी
Project
नेटवर्क
Microsoft Teams you can close maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
No,
It's not going. Now it went.
From here you can close project.
Yeah.
Can you go down? Sorry.
Teams.
Microsoft Teams M you go. M.
It will relieve.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, it will.
No, it's
Load will be
loading and stuck process.
Okay.
किसमें ब्रो ईमेल आईडी where did you have
WhatsApp पे है, कोई WhatsApp है.
व्हाट्सएप पे है क्या?
हाँ.
ये
WhatsApp login, web login.
वेब लॉगिन कर सकते हैं.
Or you share to me, I will.
इनको शेयर कर सकते हैं. You log in.
You have Deep Prabhu's number, you can send on WhatsApp.
दीप प्रभु नंबर चलें.
I will take the Deep Prabhu's number. This project 97269 80390. हाँ इस पे सेंड कर दीजिए.
दीप IBC. Min handy one some ice break. Hare Krishna. Technology is very good when it is working. And we never know Kalika when technology can stop working.
Back side.
रुक जरूर ना कैब पे चल पड़े सकते हैं.
We have the other system.
आगे
We have the other system.
Have you shared project?
Trying दीप प्रभु number I saved it is not coming here now.
आप कॉल करिए. लास्ट
Can I?
कॉल करिए. लास्ट
Save क्या?
ट्रू कॉलर है क्या? ट्रू कॉलर है क्या?
एक मिनट.
Saving it.
As per please send now here. Documents. Okay, please.
लास्ट वन.
This one. Yes.
डेस्कटॉप पे सेव करें और प्रेजेंटेशन मोड में लगाएं, नोट्स विजिबल नहीं होगा।
पूरा एक में है। कोई नोट ना
एक मिनट अभिषेक बस ऐसा है। प्रेजेंटेशन बाकी कर दिखना चाहिए।
प्रभु जी अभी शायद इधर भी आ सकता है।
इसमें भी कुछ शो प्रेजेंटेशन Roji, in mobile you can see the which is next slide and here you can present the directly.
Yes, yes.
ये
Okay, so we will present full.
And the notes is
इसमें है
नोट्स तो इधर पूरे हैं क्या?
हाँ हाँ
बस FY कर दीजिए।
हाँ नहीं तो इधर भी है इसको ठीक। दिस ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ वर्किंग।
चार्जेस लगा दिए।
आप इधर से करें, इधर देखिए नोट्स।
हाँ ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथं अन्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातं अहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्।
Hare Krishna. So we just had the starting, very good beginning we had for the Grihastha ashram. We showed how patient we have to be in Grihastha ashram. There will be problems, there will be glitches, there will be issues, but if our purpose is resolute, we have to keep moving on. We'll find some or the other way, just how we did now. So today, we see a good number of devotees here. So that shows that many of the devotees present here are willing to enter the next ashram, that is Grihastha ashram, or those who are already there want to have a proper understanding for a better relationship or a better living in Grihastha ashram. So we welcome you all for this seminar, which was instructed by His Grace Harishitra Prabhuji. Under his guidance, we are doing this. And we'll talk about it later. As Prabhuji said, it was planned for the last year, but due to some or the other reason, it just got postponed. So we'll table you can.
That's it. Don't want to reach too far.
That's okay, Prabhuji. I'm loud enough.
Can everybody hear? Okay.
Probably in the back, Mataji, there might be in the back. This words. You might be speaking for a bit longer.
Okay. So what Aishwarya Vinda said. Any other expectations you all have, other than what she just said, from this seminar? Okay.
So we see that we all want to have good relationships in life, right? We all want to have good relationships. We want to enter into new relationships, but we don't want to take responsibilities. That is the concern for today's generation, for the youth today. We don't want to have any commitments. We don't want to have any responsibilities. We just want good relationships for what? For our physical satisfaction, for mental, for emotional support, for financial support, for everything else, but without taking any responsibility and commitment. And another fear for today's generation is that they prefer to choose their own partner, without taking parents' consent or consideration. And then they come into more pressure because the responsibility increases. If something goes wrong, who will be held responsible for that? The boy or the girl, himself or herself. So that's why it has become very stressful, and people, they just prefer to opt out of it. No need to enter into Grihastha ashram. We are good without it. We can manage on our own, but that is not the solution. So this is a big concern we are facing in these days, in the current times. Either people are not getting into this ashram or they are coming out of it very soon. So what is actually the importance of Grihastha ashram? What is Grihastha ashram? What is its purpose? That's what we are going to discuss today. So if you have any other expectations, any other questions, please make a note of that. If you miss out something, we will try to cover it up in our next session. We can continue with our series, no problem, how longer it goes. Our point is to please Srila Prabhupada and help you understand about this ashram better so that we can make our life successful in Krishna consciousness. So again, as I said, Harishitra Prabhuji has a strong desire that, how well he is taking care of the devotees here. He also wants to take care of this concept that those who are willing to enter into Grihastha ashram need to have a better understanding so that they can keep progressing on the spiritual path. It should not become disturbing for them. So that's why he instructed us to conduct this program. And this was planned under the guidance of His Grace Purendu Krishna Prabhuji and Mataji, Ansuya Mataji. They have visited our center a couple of times. They are from Chicago, I believe. Minneapolis. And then His Grace Shamkund Prabhuji and Vinodini Mataji, His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhuji and Her Grace Madhumati Mataji, the very well advanced Grihastha devotees of our congregation. They have advised us on certain points after taking their opinions and listening to some lectures, picking up points from the previous Grihastha ashrams seminars conducted. We have just compiled some information here. If you are short of something, we beg for forgiveness and we will try to make it up for in the next session.
So, some of the points they said.
Yeah, so one point I want to point out here, what His Grace Purendu Krishna Prabhuji and Mataji mentioned was, timely marriage helps to adjust better, just like saplings growing together can share space, but trees can't. Can we understand that? So if a tree is in a tender form, it's in a sapling form, we can twist and turn and they both can adjust together and make room for each other and grow well together. But once they are into big trees, then we can't mold them. They will have their own space and they won't be willing to share the space with each other. So timely marriage is very important. And the point by His Grace Shamkund Prabhuji and Mataji, recognition of bad habits and strengthening of good habits is important to progress, otherwise it's a dubious life. So if we pretend that we don't have any desires, we don't need any satisfaction, be it on physical level, mental level, emotional level, we can take care of ourselves, we have to be honest about it. Because that is really hard to not have any desire. Even on the bodily level, the desire is there. So if we say that the desire is not there, that is being dubious. So we don't have to be hypocrite. We have to be really sure. If we have the desire, then please be honest and progress as planned by our Vedic scriptures. Which one do I need to hold?
I'll hold one, you hold that one.
Just hold it. You hold it.
Okay. So hard.
हाथ में पकड़ता हूँ बस ठीक
आवाज नहीं आ रही क्या?
I will hold it, don't worry.
Okay. Just keep it away. I'm not comfortable. So that is the point by Shamkund Prabhujan Mataji. And then the point by His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhujan Mataji was family who prays together stays together. So when we have a common purpose, we resolve the issues too. That's what we did just now in the beginning, right? So if we have a purpose, we are resolute in achieving that, we will somehow or the other, we will overcome the hurdles and we will keep moving towards the objective. So Prabhuji also gave the example of like, if we have to go to Majestic to catch a train on time, will we just pause somewhere and complain about something or try to, look around? No. We are fixed that we have to move on. We have to catch the train on time. So we'll keep moving on. We will ignore all the, unwanted things in our life and we'll just be focused on making it on time to the train station. So that is really important. Very important point shared by our seniors. Yes, we'll move on. So now we'll understand what is Grihastha Ashram.
Okay. So if we see what Srila Prabhupada says about, so Grihastha Ashram is married life, right? So what Srila Prabhupada says, that marriage is actually a duty performed in mutual cooperation as directed in the authoritative scriptures for spiritual advancement. So the key points as highlighted there are mutual cooperation for spiritual advancement, right? So it's a sacrifice. The married life itself is all about sacrifices, compromises, right? So why? Because the goal is one. So together one has to do whatever the duties prescribed for the ashram for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And that way the progress happens. Now, if one is carrying out duties for their own pleasure, then it is not Grihastha Ashram, it is Graha Medhi. So now that's the purpose of Grihastha Ashram. So now one would ask, how is it different from the other ashrams, right? So there are 4 ashrams, right? Now ashram means what? To take ashray, to take shelter. A shelter of whom?
Krishna.
The Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, right? So in all the ashrams, the purpose is the same. One has to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. But then now one would think that how is it different? How is Grihastha Ashram different from the other 3 ashrams? So the difference lies in the means of livelihood and the level of renunciation. So that is what differentiates all the ashrams, right? So in the other 3 ashrams we see that the level of surrender is quite high, the level of renunciation is quite high. The devotees in that are not depending upon the material aspects. There's total surrender compared to the Grihastha Ashram, of course, and are not engaged in the worldly affairs, are not earning. And that is where Grihastha Ashram is entrusted this responsibility to support these other 3 ashrams, right? So that they can focus on their sadhana and, in turn share that knowledge with the Grihastha Ashram also, and everybody out there, mainly Grihastha Ashram, everybody out there is in, that state. So, so that's where Grihastha Ashram needs to go out and earn. And also, the level of renunciation from other ashrams is like, the other ashrams set an example for Grihastha Ashram to follow. How should one renunciate? So gradually become detached. So that's the purpose again. For all the ashrams, one has to be in the shelter of the Lord. So if one is not looking for that, then there is no renunciation, there is no detachment. Graha Medhi life continues. So now one may think that, okay, if we need to renounce, we need to detach, then why do we even get into Grihastha Ashram? Does that make sense? So, we see that, sinful activities are impediments towards our spiritual progress. So if we need to stop these sinful activities in order to make progress. So one of them is Avaid Stri Sangha. So Srila Prabhupada says that everybody has a natural propensity for sex life. So it is not easy to curb that, control it. In fact, it is not possible also. So one may think that no, I can do it, but it is really difficult. So in Bhagavatam we see there's a verse, balam me pashya mayaya stri maya jaino disham ya kurote padan kritam bhruvi jambren kevalam. That the Supreme Lord says that, just see, take a look at my strength in the form of Maya, in the form of woman. So that is so powerful that even the great conquerors of the world, they will also follow in the footsteps of a woman who can control them just by the movement of their eyebrows. So just looking, moving their eyebrows, that's it, gone. So that is the strength of the Lord's Maya in the form of woman. So it is not at all easy. You have a question, ma'am?
Like you said, like a woman, so this is so strong that it can impact magic. So is it like I want to ask, like the sannyasis who are in Guru Tattva, they can also fall down or they are very transcendental?
We will discuss that.
So that's what I'm coming to, and we'll discuss this point. But here, now when I say it is not possible, doesn't mean that everybody is now trapped into that, right? How is it possible? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Isha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Durateya, Mam Eva Prapadyante, Maya Mitam Tarantite. So so his energy is divine and is very difficult to overcome, but it can be done very easily if one is surrendered to the Lord. So the level of surrender defines that. So sannyasi, as you said, they're all surrendered. In fact, yeah. So based on that, one can control. Right? So now, there is this journey. Because it's a natural propensity in everyone, so there is a gradual progression. Because at the beginning stage, no one is totally in control. Right? So what do we do until then? So we take this journey. And as per our Vedic culture, we have this process through which we go from Pravati Marg to Nivritti Marg. So that process is the marriage process. So there are, if one engages this propensity without any restrictions, then it is an uncivilized life. So we need to be civilized. So there are rules, processes set up as per our Vedic culture. And when we follow that, then we gradually move forward. So that is the marriage process, right? So now, that's Grihastha ashram.
And Grihastha ashram, I just want to add on. His guest Yugal Kishore Prabhuji only reminded us of this point, that normally we consider it as just a time of celebration. It's just a cultural phenomena because our parents entered into it, our grandparents entered into it, we have to enter. So we need to have a clear understanding why we are entering into it. Now, as Prabhu said, it's a yagya, vivaha yagya. Yagya means sacrifice. Sacrifice for whom? For pleasure of Krishna. So whatever we are doing it for pleasure of Krishna. We need to have that understanding very, very clear in our mind. And then it's an ashram where we take shelter of Krishna. Ashray. Ultimately to overcome all these propensities, what do we have to do? We have to take shelter of whom? The Supreme Lord. No better shelter than Him.
And for that, this renunciation aspect is very important. So that's the journey. We keep progressing towards that, right? So if one is like, I'll just tell about this pastime. So if one is too caught up and disturbed, then one is like, okay, this is too much for me. I can't handle it, right? So we see this pastime from Kurma Brahmin in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was touring South India, so Kurma Brahmin, serves him, and then he says, I am too much disturbed, by these material miseries. Please take me with you. So what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tell him? He says, Greha Rahi, Krishna Naam Narantar Laiba. So stay at home and chant the holy name. And do what? Yara Dekha Tare kaha, Krishna Upadesh. So instruct everybody to follow the orders of Krishna as spoken in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And then what will happen? So when one does that, then Kabhu na badhibe tomara vishay taranga. So the material way of life at home, when one is in Grihastha ashram, whatever difficulties and all are there, they will not affect. And what will be the outcome of that? That punarapi eithai pabe mora sangha. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that if you stay in your home, in your ashram, keep doing your duties, remember me, remember Krishna, and spread the message to everybody around, then these material miseries will not affect you. And I will be there with you always. So that's the goal of life, right? So, that's the thing, that we need to keep endeavoring towards this path, towards renunciation. And that is why Grihastha ashram is there, that we need to have that sacrifice element, not for our own pleasures. So now, what is happening? Modern understanding, what is it?
You said sannyasis are fully surrendered, but Lord Brahma also got lustful desire on his daughter Saraswati.
Right.
He left his body. So even the greatest souls can be trapped.
Right.
So is it that sannyasis could also get trapped?
There is a
Yes.
possibility.
So Prabhupada says accidents happen even on the royal roads. So it is very difficult. It's not that it's a one-time activity. I control my sense, I'm done now. Nothing can touch me. Until we are in this body, the struggle continues until death. Right? So it's not an easy process, obviously. It's not. I'm not saying that, once you do this, that's it, done, go.
Brahma is also in material world only. So everybody in material world is affected by this tendency.
Yes, please.
I'd like to announce that if you can take questions in the end so that the flow of the session continues, and please take a note of the questions. I know there are a lot of questions around this, so we can take in the end. If it's okay with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. So what's the modern understanding? This is what we're talking about, is how it should be, the Vedic culture, right? What is the modern understanding? So it is more towards the Grihastha side that we're talking about. Everybody sees marriage institution as means for sense pleasure. So they get into that institution, and it's all about what I want and what you want, right? So now, what are the consequences of that? There is exploitation, right? And obviously there is, the happiness aspect is not there. And because of that, what happens? You see this here, the divorce rate, that keeps going high and high. It was like 12% 1960, 2017, 44%. India, overall in the world, has the lowest divorce rate. But the rate of increase is, in India also, very high right now. So why is that? People are now giving up this institution. The marriage institution, as per our Vedic scriptures, is getting lost. It's all about what I want, our sense pleasures. So that's not how it should be. If something is going wrong, we should identify the problem and fix that. Like Prabhupada says, cataract, if eye has cataract, we don't remove the eye. So the marriage institution is not the problem. It is we, how we are not implementing that process correctly. So the concerns, what are the concerns? That because of this, our culture is getting lost. And we see that nowadays, like all these PGs. PG culture was there, now in PG we have co-live. So people are freely mixing. And like Shurendra was saying that, we don't want to take any responsibility. Everything, I'll just do what I want without commitments. So with that, we're seeing so many crimes and so many issues that are happening around. Go to the next one.
So this is the overview, purpose of marriage. First we will discuss, then we'll come to the point when to enter, with whom to enter, and how to enter. That's what we are going to cover up for part 1. So first is purpose of marriage. So as Prabhu mentioned, in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada says that our existence in this material world continues if we enter Grihastha ashram. But then later on we see in Krishna book how Krishna himself shows that how we can sanctify the Grihastha ashram, how we can make it successful. So doesn't it sound odd that, our goal is to become detached from Maya? So first we are getting attached to Maya and then we are coming out of it. So what's the sense? Why not just stay out of it? So he just said all that in brief, but we will discuss that in detail now. So first is marriage, the purpose of entering the marriage, the Grihastha ashram. We will discuss at the individual level and then at the society level. So we will be talking about two purposes of entering the Grihastha ashram. So at the level of individual, the first purpose is progression of independence from worldly support and dependence upon Krishna. Independence from the worldly support, the fallible soldiers outside world. We have to reduce our dependence upon them. We have to gain independence from all of them, and we have to depend more and more upon Krishna. So let's start with Brahmachari ashram. In Brahmachari ashram, what happens? Student life. In the ancient times, we see there were ashram system, there were gurus, and the disciples would stay in the ashram away from their family, totally committed to the guru. They will not have their own earnings, no possession or very little possession. Whatever guru would instruct, they would just do that, very committed, very obedient, following all the instructions of the guru. Even the planning of the day was done by the guru. They had to seek permission for everything. In our today's culture, modern education system also, we see student life. Parents and the society take responsibility of the student. They are not independent. They are totally dependent upon the elders, upon the teachers, upon the family. In our schools also, like colleges, we have the login time, log out time. So your routine is described. Your time is fixed. You can't plan your day your way. You have to do something, you have to do it, and the focus for them is just studies. They have to gain knowledge. Their energy is to be utilized for gaining knowledge. So they are totally dependent upon others for their needs, basically. But when, with time, gradually they grow up, they develop desire to gain independence. They want to have their own home, own space. I want to plan my routine. I want to have some free time. I want to have wife. I want to have children. I want to have this car, that car. I want to have some possession, my own money. I don't want to turn over everything to my guru or to elders. No, I want to have something. So that is the time when we have to think of Grihastha ashram. So in Grihastha ashram, you get some independence. You can be a little relaxed in your waking up time. Once a while, I need some break. In Brahmachari ashram, it's very strict. In Grihastha ashram, you can make it a little relaxed. Instead of Mangala Arati, getting up at 4:30, I can make it 5:30. Okay. Once in a while, I can go out with my kids, having family time. I can play some sport, basically for health benefit, of course. I can earn money in an honest way. That is very important. I can earn money. I can use it for my satisfaction, but after giving charity. 50% is what is directed by our scriptures. Even if we give 10 to 20%, it will be really appreciated. So we should give some charity out of our hard-earned money. And so we have some independence, right? But do we gain responsibility also with that? And for those responsibilities, for carrying out those responsibilities, we depend upon Krishna. It's not that, all gala time in Grihastha ashram, all good time. No, we will have challenges, we face problems, and for that we depend upon Krishna. In this ashram is the time when we internalize the learnings, the values we had got from the Brahmachari ashram. We have to be wise in earning, in spending, in carrying out our duties, everything. In Brahmachari ashram, we gained the knowledge, and now it is the time to practice that knowledge, to apply those values, those principles in our life. So we gain some independence, but we also get the responsibilities, and for that we depend upon Krishna. And as we move on, did I miss something?
No.
Okay. And then when we move on to Vanaprastha ashram, Srila Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.18.13 that no one should waste his time in the so-called happiness of materialistic household life in the world, in the Vedic civilization. So there is a time defined for the Grihastha ashram, and then we move on to the Vanaprastha ashram, that is particularly by the age of 50, which is getting delayed now. That is also a concern. So by the age of 50, then we enter into Vanaprastha ashram, where our dependence upon Krishna is more. We are not even considering our varna for livelihood. How I have to earn my bread, how I have to, where will I seek shelter. Nothing. We are totally dependent upon Krishna. We are more and more dependent upon Krishna, and we are depending upon Krishna more and independent from the external world.
Prabhupada says it's a crippled life.
Yeah. So Grihastha life, Prabhupada says, is the crippled life. Why it is crippled? Because it's hold us back sometimes from practicing our spiritual life, devoting our full time and energy to the spiritual life. Though it gradually helps us in progressing, after a point we should devote more and more time and energy only for our spiritual life. That is Vanaprastha ashram. And sannyas ashram, as Mataji asked, in sannyas ashram, one should enter only when one is totally fearless. No fear. Who will take care of me? Will I get my food today? Where will I stay if it starts raining, like how it is in Bangalore these days? No concerns, no fear at all. Krishna is there to take care of me. That's it. And there is no other desire other than pleasing the Lord. That is when we enter the sannyas ashram. So this was the progression of ashram, how we progress from brahmacharya ashram to grihastha ashram to vanaprastha ashram to sannyas ashram, and we become more and more independent from externals and become dependent upon Krishna. Next progression we have here is progression of sense control. So in yoga we see there is yam, niyam, right? There are some rules to be followed, to be avoided, and then we come to pratyahar, that is controlling our senses, when to restrain our senses like a turtle. We should have a control, when to exhibit our senses and when to exercise a control over them. So that we learn in the Grihastha ashram. So Prabhupada says that material existence, what does it mean when we are in material existence? We have a tendency to enjoy separate of Krishna. That is the root cause of being here. We wanted to enjoy separate of Krishna. But we being part and parcel of Krishna, is that possible? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mama evamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. We are his part and parcel. So without satisfying the whole, how can the parts be nourished? Prabhupada in a joking way, he says that for improving our eyesight, we need to have good food. But does that mean that we start poking our eyes with the carrots? Just imagine people doing that, pricking their eyes with a carrot. How foolish that would be. But actually that's what we are doing. We are trying to satisfy our senses without satisfying the Lord. Now, if we rub some, these days we have some beauty products and all, if you rub it on your skin, it may nourish your skin to some extent, but not totally. That is just like a drop of, water in the ocean. We will still starve. It can nourish a little, but it won't satisfy us fully. That is done only when we satisfy Krishna. So basically this tendency to enjoy different from Krishna, this is the root cause of us being here, and the main, how this tendency manifests, Prabhu will continue from there.
Yeah, so this tendency to enjoy separately from Krishna, right? That's like how we were talking about earlier, the natural propensity of sex life that is within each and every living being. So that is the cause, why one is wanting to enjoy separately. So all these desires manifest from this particular aspect. So what is the thing? That the true love has been transformed into lust, into this material world. So now what is the task? We have to convert this lust back into love. So that's the objective, right? So now how do we handle this? And that's what we are seeing, right? That it's not easy. And this is one process. So now Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Vishyan vinivartante niharasya dehinam. Rasa varjam rasoapi asya param drishtiva nivartate. So while we are in this body, we interface to this world through our senses. So if we just curb it down, shut it down, then it's not going to work. Until we have the real love developed. Until then, our senses will always be, giving that stimuli and will be disturbed in our mind. So from this verse, we see that taste for sense enjoyment will always remain, while we are trying to curb them. So when will it go? When we experience a higher taste. Otherwise, it is very difficult. So we cannot, it's not just a click of a button or touch screen, no, that I want love, cut, ho gaya. No, it takes time. So while that love manifests, until then, it is a journey. It is a struggle. We have to keep endeavoring. And Kartik Maas, that's the theme of this month. We have to endeavor and pray. It is not in our control. So all we can do is endeavor. Yes, Krishna, I want to love you. Right now I don't have that. But please bless me. No, I am trying my best. So then his mercy will follow. So now Srila Prabhupada says that how do we understand this also from our, it's not that it's really difficult. We experience it also in bits and pieces. So like one example, he says that when the devotees are dancing in a kirtan, so when we have some, we have kirtan mela here, and when kirtans happen, everybody dances. That time, one does not think about all of these things. Sense, desires and all, it's totally out of the picture. We are just lost in our absorption of Krishna. So it is possible like this, Srila Prabhupada says. And even in material world, some people who are, really obsessed with something can also have some bits of experiences. I was very intrigued when I heard that Maradona, the great football player, he once said that watching Messi play soccer, it gives me greater pleasure than having sex. And I was like, how is he saying that? How could that be? This pleasure is described as the greatest pleasure in this world. But then there is a person who's saying that beyond that also there is a pleasure. So there are some instances where people experience that within the material world also. But again, they are in illusion. But the point is that one, until experiences a higher taste, cannot give a lower taste. Right? So that's the thing. So, so now what is this? Until we get into that, how do we handle it?
So one analogy given here is of broken arm. So when the arm is broken, how do we cure it? How do we cure a fractured arm? Mataji's, anybody? Plaster, the cast. We need the cast, right? Does painkiller help us all through? No. So painkillers help us in the beginning. So this Grihastha ashram is compared to a painkiller. The real problem, the disease we are facing is our sensual desires, but Grihastha ashram is like a painkiller. Till we completely fix that problem, we need some painkiller. Because when we have, actually the fracture happens, our body becomes very stiff. It becomes stiff like a rod. So it becomes difficult to mold it and fix the bone, and also painkillers are given to relax the muscles. But that is not the treatment. We just can't continue having the painkillers all through. Rather, that can become a hindrance in our cure. Because we don't feel the pain, we will just keep moving the arm and we can re-injure it. So painkiller is just taken initially and then we cure the problem. So we need to understand that Grihastha ashram is just like a painkiller. It is not the treatment for overcoming this disease. And as we checked the point in the beginning by His Grace Shyam Kund Prabhuji, that we should not be hypocrite. No, we should be honest. If we have the desire, then enter the Grihastha ashram and take this painkiller, get rid of your disease. Otherwise, it can be a problem. Because in Srimad Bhagavatam also we see that when Yadu was asked by Maharaja Yati to get his youth for more enjoyment, what did Yadu say? Like an obedient son, he said that, okay, I can give it to you, but then it will obstruct my spiritual progress. Because if my desires are not fulfilled, my spiritual progress will be checked. So I cannot give my youth to you. Srila Prabhupada also says in the same purport that unless one fully satisfies his desires in youth, this can become a hindrance in rendering service to the Lord. So we need to overcome these desires by using the painkiller. Another example we can have is of a sweet. When the child is creating some disturbance in Srimad Bhagavatam class, in any of our ISKCON classes, what do? We try to give him something of his favorite, like some sweet. Just munch on this for some time, he'll be quiet then. So like that, this marriage is just a laddu. It's a sweet. We have heard that proverb very often, jo khaye wo pachtaye, jo na khaye wo pachtaye. So this is just a sweet. But can we bring up the child just feeding the sweet? No. It is just to keep him quiet for some time. So this Grihastha ashram is also just a sweet to our mind, to keep it quiet. Whenever there is some disturbance, just give it a laddu, that's it. But this is not the main feed for our mind. The main feed is service of the Lord. So side by side, we keep practicing our sadhana, our devotional life, and whenever there is some disturbance, we just give this painkiller of Grihastha ashram, and we try to overcome that disease totally. So after this, we enter then the Vanprastha ashram. So I just want to make clear before that Grihastha ashram, we should not mistake it, as a hellish planet. Normally people have a norm that, it's something really filthy, it's a hellish planet, and we should avoid it. It's like anything else in this material world, with its own goods and bads. We have goods, we have bads, we have to focus more on good and avoid the bad. That is the purpose.
And yeah, on that point, like I said earlier, right, Grihastha ashram is part of the support system. So the brahmachari, sannyasis, they all need support. And who provides that? Grihastha ashram. And towards this point that while we don't have love, so this lust needs to be satisfied. Otherwise, it will show up in some other form. So the example is given of a balloon, right? So if we try to press it from one side, it will pop up from the other side, right? So if lust is not satisfied, it turns into anger, and that is not good. So even devotees could turn hard-hearted, if these desires are not fulfilled. So Grihastha ashram that way is a path. It's an ashram to gradually control, our senses and then move towards the Supreme Lord.
Therefore, this progression is very much required. We need to understand that. Next is yours. So next purpose is progression of yoga. How Grihastha ashram helps us in progressing in our yoga system.
So, so from the yoga perspective, like we see the ladder, so vikarmis, right? So vikarmis are doing wrong things for wrong reasons. So it is like, engaging our senses for our own pleasure. So that's considered like stealing. It's like being a thief. So when one is just acting for his own self, then it is the society of vikarmis. So that's what happens nowadays, right? We see celebrities and, they are with so many of, the opposite gender and parties, and, the more girlfriends you have, the more, they are looked up. They are like heroes for the young generation. So that's how, this vikarmi, the initial stages. And it is like we see, bachelors, this co-living and all these aspects. So doing wrong things for wrong reasons. And the consciousness in such a state is tamogun, mode of ignorance. Then as we rise that, okay, I still want to, enjoy, but do it the right way. So engaging our senses, but for the wrong reasons. So karma kandis. So this is like where I want to enjoy, but I will have to pay for it. I will not steal. So that's the thing. So here, what is the consciousness? It's mode of passion, rajoguna. And then as we progress that, okay, karma yoga and jnana yoga, that comes in. So karma kandis is like graha medhi. I am following the process, but for my own enjoyment. Then as we progress, karma yoga, jnana yoga. So that is what it is meant for, purifying ourselves, for sense control. So that is in mode of goodness. And that is where Grihastha ashram is like, overlaps here now. So from here, the journey continues to the next stage of Bhakti Yoga, where the highest form of love is of Radha and Krishna. So one has to act in, serving or engaging our senses for their pleasure.
So as Prabhu said, in Grahamedi state, Karamkandi state, it's like, pay and get. You're not stealing anything, so you're avoiding that sin. So you're doing the right thing, but for the wrong reason, for satisfying yourself. So it's like we are treating God as our order supplier, like a shopkeeper. We take things from him, but we don't have any relationship with the shopkeeper, right? So we don't establish any connection with God here. So this is still, a very low level. So as we progress, then we enter Grihastha ashram. So in Grihastha ashram, there is Karam Yoga, and which helps us progress, Karam Phal Tyag. We offer all the results to the Lord. And then we progress on to Gyan Yoga, where we get the knowledge that we are not this body, we are the soul. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. This is my relationship with him. We have to serve him eternally. So then we get this Gyan. Ultimately, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used this term, Bhakti proper. While we are doing this, gradually progress on to Bhakti proper, that is pure Bhakti, the pure devotional service, where Krishna becomes our true lover, he becomes the center of our life. We do everything for him. It's not like, I'm doing my best at home to hear from my wife that you are the best husband, you are my hero, kids say you are the best daddy, or the husband says you are the best cook, you are most beautiful. No, we are not doing anything to hear that. We are just doing it to see Krishna smile, to please Krishna, not to get any claps and applauds from members of our family or society, but only and only to please Krishna. So that is very important. This is our goal in Grihastha ashram. Gradually we go on to the stage of Bhakti Yoga, pure Bhakti. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur also says that Krishna, for your service, I will earn to bear the expenses of your household. So we are ready to earn. We are ready to own a home. We are ready to own a car, have a family, have children, but only for the pleasure of Krishna as a service being rendered to him. So we have to keep this in our mind. This is our goal. This is where we have to go to.
We are like caretakers, not
Yeah.
think that this is mine. No, it is yours. They are your devotees. I have to serve them.
And this gives us a sense of freedom also. Why do you have to worry? When everything belongs to him, it's his house, his children, he will take care of. I'm just an instrument. So this gives us even more independence. This is how we are progressing in our independence also, from the external world and depending more and more upon Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, those who are dependent upon me, the self-realized souls, they don't need to depend upon others. So when we become self-realized, who we are and who is our Supreme Father, who is the real caretaker, then we just gain that freedom. We don't have to depend upon others for our happiness. And we don't have to blame others for our distress also then. So Kapil Dev also, he says that, if a woman thinks that her husband is her protector, provider of wealth, children, everything, then this is just like a hell for her. She's finished. And similarly, on the other side, if the husband thinks that my wife is the source of my pleasure, my enjoyment, my children, my happiness, then his spiritual life is finished. We need to have this understanding that they are not the source of our pleasure. They are just means to render service as Krishna's devotees and progress on this path. And Srila Rupa Goswami, he gives a wonderful example that a woman who has a paramour, she carries out her household duties even in a better way, so that the husband doesn't come to know that she has any other lover. Right? So this is how we have to pretend in our Grihastha ashram also. Krishna is our true lover. He is our paramour. We are doing everything for him. Husband may think that, wow, she's being so nice, she's cooking nice dishes for me, serving me so well. He may praise, but no, we know whom we are doing it for. We are doing ultimately for Krishna. And same thing for the husband. Wife may think, wow, he's buying me new things, he's taking me around. We can do all that, but for whom? For pleasing Krishna, not for pleasing the wife. So Krishna is our true lover. We have to make a note of that. And in this case then, even if wife says that you are the best, doesn't affect the husband. And if she says that I have been reminding you to fix this leakage for last 3 months, you are so lazy, you never complete your work on time, then also he's not disturbed. Because he's just doing it for Krishna, he's doing his best, and that keeps us peaceful in our Grihastha life. So now when we have talked about all the ashrams and all the stages, we will see what are the pleasures we gain in the different ashrams and what price do we pay for it. You know? So, I just missed one point, I think. So after having, the painkiller and everything in the Grihastha ashram, when we enter the Vanprastha ashram, we are peaceful. Because at that time, even if our mind troubles us, disturbs us, sometimes we say, just keep quiet. You already had it. And after a minute, then mind will be quiet. He will remember all the consequences. For little pleasure, what a high price he had to pay, the mind will remember that. So then it will be quiet. So we just give it an experience and we, help it overcome that desire and settle down in Vanprastha ashram, and then again progresses further in the sannyasa ashram. So each ashram has its own plus and minus. So we'll talk about the pleasures and the sacrifices.
So in Brahmachari ashram, if you see that, like we had talked about, right, that there is the means of livelihood is not there. One is totally dependent in Brahmachari ashram upon Guru to learn the scriptural knowledge and depend upon the Lord. So there is no need to earn, go out, work hard, all of that. So that's the pleasure aspect. But there's a sacrifice involved in everything, right? So the sacrifice is that there is total dependence. One has to totally depend upon someone. And then the pleasure aspect, by doing that, what is it? That one gains knowledge, self-realization, who is he, who is God, relationship and all that, right? And the sacrifice is, again, one has to be submissive, submissive to the Guru. Then only knowledge will flow in. If one is not surrendered, not submissive, then it will not work out. And pleasure, again, no responsibilities, like we're talking about. That's what people want nowadays. No responsibility, no commitment. So it can be seen as a pleasure from that perspective. But then sacrifices are that all the time has to be dovetailed into studying the scriptures. It's not that no responsibility, now I'll just sit, aram se, relax, not do anything. No, one has to still put efforts, but in the right direction. And then the pleasure, again, getting respect with the renunciation that one, the path of renunciation that one follows. So, and the sacrifice is, again, no possessions. So this respect is there, but again, the level of surrender has to be so much that it should not get onto our head. So if we want respect, then we are finished. So, so now the pleasure is all the time for sadhana and seva. Grihastha ashram, we try to find time, and this is one of a big use case for all the marketing nowadays, time. Nobody has time. So with that, one tries to penetrate into, take this, you'll get time. Take this, you'll get time. So there is time, but again, for sadhana and seva. And obviously sacrifice is sense control. So now this option is there, again, like we spoke, that if one cannot control, then there is this Grihastha ashram to follow that. But if one thinks one is surrendered to the degree that one can control, then one can continue in this path. So that decision to decide which path to take is available. But that decision is taken by the devotee.
Level of renunciation.
Yeah. So the respect comes with the renunciation. So Brahmachari ashram, the devotees, they've renounced everything, and they are just surrendered to the Guru and to the process, to Srila Prabhupada, to the movement. So given up their family, they are staying in the ashram. So that renunciation commands respect.
So we have genuine respect for brahmacharis, right? We all, especially in Saffron, that we have seen, but we have to offer respect to all the brahmacharis at whatever level they are, how devoted they are for the purpose of serving Srila Prabhupada.
And we should help them in this journey, so that they continue on that renunciation path and not get them, distracted. So
then next, Grihastha ashram, the pleasures we have, we talked about it. I can earn my own money in an honest, honorable way, enjoy some part of it. And what is the sacrifice for that? Working hard to earn. Running from pillar to post, all through this Bangalore traffic, rushing from morning till night just to earn some money and have a part of it to enjoy. And next pleasure is children. When they start speaking, in the stuttering voice, it's very pleasing to parents. But we have sacrifice, we have to do sacrifice also for that. And what is that? We have to earn for their education. We have to feed them. We have to educate them. We have to bring in clothes for them. We have to fulfill all requirements for them. When they fall sick, we have to stay awake at night. So we have to undergo sacrifices also for enjoying that pleasure. And then another pleasure is wife. Okay, she's a means to satisfy him in some way. But then the biggest sacrifice is putting up with the opposite gender. I won't say just wife. Wife also has to put up with the husband, right? So it's not easy to put up with a different personality altogether. We all are individuals. We all are different. It's not that husband and wife come together and they all are just, have the same mentality, same everything. We will discuss about it later, how we have to choose our partner. But we are two individuals. We are different. A husband leaves wet towel on the bed. We have to tolerate that. Wife cooks good food only once a month. He has to tolerate that. So we have to bear all this. That is the sacrifice we have to undergo.
That's the laddu we start saying.
Yeah. And then ultimate satisfaction, the pleasure, the ultimate satisfaction, the ultimate pleasure. How do we get? The biggest sacrifice, Srila Prabhupada says, for the Grihastha ashram is deity worship. We have to engage in deity worship. Without doing that, we can fall down. Instead of progressing further, we can just go back. Or we can come out of the Grihastha ashram very easily. So that is a very important sacrifice we all have to undergo.
Yeah, for Grihastha ashram, Prabhupada says that, this is actually a necessity. One has to serve the deities, and the first preference is at a temple nearby. And if one cannot go, then serve deities at home. So, this was the progression.
For Vanprastha ashram, sannyasa ashram, pleasure and sacrifice is not mentioned here, because pleasure, as we already discussed about it, they are totally independent from the world outside. They are not dependent upon other living entities for their earning or their shelter or anything. They are totally dependent upon Krishna. So that's why we have not talked about all that here. So it's basically about a brahmachari ashram and the Grihastha ashram. But sacrifice for them, for the Vanprastha ashram vasis and the sannyasa ashram vasis, the sacrifice for them is the renunciation. They renounce everything. But they get an ultimate pleasure, the transcendental pleasure, for which this renunciation becomes very, very easy. We get the higher taste, and then all this happens naturally. It's a very genuine process. So far we have covered up the purpose for individual. The first title for today was Purpose of Grihastha ashram. Under that we had purpose for individual, that we covered up. And now we are talking about purpose for society.
So, there is, responsibility towards society as well. It is not just me and my senses and my family, right? So how do we contribute towards that? So, what we have got from our previous generation, we have to pass that on for the next generation. Make a responsible future generation, good progeny. So, like in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, we see how Arjun is giving a reason for that, for not fighting also, right? So if the dharma, irreligion is there, then there is fall down of the family, and there is a bad progeny and the fall down of woman. The kula dharma is destroyed. So we have a responsibility towards that, to make sure that the upbringing of kids in such a way that they are in line with the Vedic principles, so that the society is benefited from that. And obviously honest earnings, morality and peace comes along with that.
Honest earning, so this will definitely help the society overcome the problem of corruption, which leads to other vices. And then good progeny. So this is the main purpose of entering Grihastha ashram, bringing forth Krishna conscious children. So right from the beginning, how do we plan to bring the devotee souls in our life, in the society, for the benefit of everybody? That is important. We can plan a seminar on that also. And then definitely if we have good children around, the good population, then that will bring morality and peace in the society. All the vices these days we are seeing in the society, all the disturbances created in the society are because of the samskaras the children have these days. They actually don't even have any samskaras. The learnings they have these days, they are not Vedic samskaras. So that is causing all the disturbance. They are disturbed at mind, they are disturbed at body, and they are creating disturbance all around. So it's very, very important. It's key to have a good population that can naturally help us overcome many problems of the society. So this is a very important purpose of entering a Grihastha ashram, to bring forth Krishna conscious children, good progeny.
And the other important point also, like we see, right, that Arjun asked Krishna in Bhagavad Gita that if I am not able to finish my duties and my life ends, what happens next, right? So what does Krishna say? Srimatam, like in the next birth, one will continue from where he is left. So one takes birth in either a devotee family or a family which is having riches. So the Supreme Lord gives the opportunity. So if one is born in rich family, then one does not need to struggle, endeavor so much to earn and all and waste time. One can resume from where he left. Or in a pious family, devotee family, where one gets the culture from the beginning and resumes. So these opportunities are provided in which ashram? Grihastha ashram, right? So that's how, again, it is a very important ashram, and it's a direct service to the Lord. So, obviously the Lord is planning everything, then we become instruments in this message from the Supreme. So now the question comes, when to enter Grihastha ashram? So what does Srila Prabhupada say? So Prabhupada says that generally a man should marry around the age of 25. Why? Because by the time his son grows up to like the person, when he comes to the age of 50, so the recommendation as per scriptures again is that by 50 one should move to Vanprastha ashram. So this crippled life of Grihastha ashram should be for about 25 years. So by the time when the person is getting into Vanprastha ashram, his son is old enough, mature enough to take care of the family. So that's why that's the recommended age Prabhupada is saying. So the son would be able to take care of the mother. As per Vedic system, what is the criteria? There are, we've read a couple of places, but the idea is then when the boy and the girl, when the puberty is hit, that's when they should get married. Otherwise, the same thing. Lust will be channeled in different ways, and then it will cause problems. So the moment when that suitable age comes, generally it's around 18 for boys, 14 for girls is what is read. Yeah. So now modern society breakdown. What do we see? Again, how things are happening in the modern world in today's time, right? So earlier, this institution is like a support system. It is not just a boy and a girl getting married, and doing everything by themselves. There is a complete support system. There are elders, the parents, the family. So they all take part in this. So now that today's time we see that the joint families are not there anymore. It's all becoming nuclear families. Everybody's moving out. So from that perspective, culture values are getting diminished, and then the support system also gets weakened. And because by everybody's moving out, they want the career, to study more, work, earn more money. So from that perspective also, then there are delays, in this whole time period of when to get into ashram. So now 25 and all, if one getting married, then they think, why are you getting married so young? You're not mature yet, you're not stable yet. How will you take care of the family? So these are all the thoughts of the today's time. But does it mean that earlier it was not right? No, like I mentioned, that's a support system. No, one should not think. If one is surrendered, then these questions will not come up. I'm dependent upon my family, upon the Supreme. They will take care. We have to do everything on time. So that's the time. If you miss the train, then you know all the miseries start from there. And emotional psychological satisfaction is also stealing. So while this delay is happening, I'm trying to get settled in my career. I'll get a house, I'll get a car, and I'll do all those things. Then I'll get married. So these are all causing all the delays. So while all that time, lust is not going to wait. It is pouncing on us all the time, on our mind, intelligence. Those are the sitting places. So it's troubling us. So if we engage into all those, trying to satisfy that, then that's also causing problem. So one should try to remain focused. That why is there a delay? I am trying to settle. Okay, there might be some reason. There could be family reasons, whatever it is. But one has to be focused only on that reason and keep the lust at bay.
Yeah, so we talked about the Vedic system age criteria, right? Marrying the boy at the age of 18 and girl at 14. Is that practical possible these days? Practically possible? No, right? So we have to be practical in some ways. But what was the reason? What was the principle behind that age being mentioned? We need to understand that. That was so that we don't have any extramarital affairs. A girl should be devoted to only one man all through her life, and same thing for the man. No illicit relationships. That is one of our 4 regulative principles. It's very important to be committed, to be chaste. For women, it's very, very important to be chaste. So these days, it is not possible. The reason being, the modern society break down. Earlier, we would have joint family, so the responsibilities were shared. When the kids are young only, they could be married off. Parents were there to take care of, and gradually they would take over the business or the job or whatever. They could complete their education and they could take up a job and settle down. But these days, because of the nuclear families, nobody is there to bear the responsibility of the family. The boy and the girl, they want to first earn enough to settle down, to have their own home, to bear all the responsibilities of the next generation, and that causes all the delays. Emotional psychological satisfaction is also stealing. But as Prabhu said, till that time, till we wait, are we totally chaste? No. Emotional satisfaction. How do we gain that? By stealing, by just looking at the opposite gender also. If you try to satisfy yourself, that is a stealing. And stealing is a thief. Srila Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita also says, stealing is a sin. And sins are impediments in our progress on the spiritual path. So even if we try to satisfy ourselves on emotional or psychological platform by seeing the opposite gender, it's not allowed. It will hinder our progress. So reason being, it could be anything. You have some family responsibilities. That's why you're not able to get into the Grihastha ashram. You are focusing upon your education. It could be any reason. So to avoid the stealing, the main point is we have to till then focus on our goal. What is causing the delay? I have some responsibility. So let me just focus on that responsibility and of course practice devotional service. Like in our Brahmachari ashram, these young Vaishnavis, how strict regimen they are following. So this helps us definitely in controlling our senses, our desires, and helps us avoid the sin of stealing. So it's not that, we can have any number of crushes and boyfriends and crushes on your colleagues, peers. That is not allowed. If you want to study, okay, study. Progress on that path of education, gain knowledge, but just focus on that and practice devotional service. Don't try to steal. Don't try to just look around here and there for your satisfaction. That is really prohibited. So delays are being caused these days because of some natural, circumstances. We can't avoid that. We can't make it that early. Prabhupada says that when he got married, his wife was just 11 years old. And when she was 14 years old, she became a mother. So that was really highly recommended. That really helped the society that time. But now when Kali Yuga is progressing, the way we are headed to the downfall, we can't expect, to go back and create that system. But we have to be really honest to ourselves, practice devotional service, and focus on the reason which is causing the delay. That's it.
Yeah, so as per time, place, circumstance, we have to move, but keep the principles intact. So now the next is, okay, we're ready to get into Grihastha ashram, but with whom should we enter? So, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, on his website, there is one wonderful questionnaire. It's a very detailed one. So, that has a lot of questions which are questioning the aspects around, whether one is a devotee, what are the understanding of the life, what are the purpose, what are the expectations, from the partner. So what one should look for is that the partner is a devotee or not, and is the partner chanting, how many rounds are they chanting, and is the partner having that desire to associate with devotees. So these are the aspects from which we should try to understand. Then there will be this like-mindedness. Otherwise, if one is trying to practice spirituality and the partner is not, then it's going to be a very difficult journey. And the woman should be submissive to the husband, and the husband should be of good character. It's not that the boy just expects woman to be submissive and then I will do whatever I want. No, the boy should also be of a good character as per the scriptures. Should be worthy of submission. So like a disciple submits to the guru. So then the point is that the importance has to be given to the spiritual commitment the partner would undertake, not just on physical beauty. Nowadays that's mostly what it is all about. One just in selecting a partner, people, they share photos, and the boy thinks that the girl is not modern, and all those things. So physical appearances will diminish over time. That's not the criteria that one should be focused on. So the questions to be asked around the purpose of life. So there should be compatibility. The varna should be same. Then there is less disturbances.
Srila Prabhupada says.
Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada says in 6.2.26 that married life would be miserable if couple is not of same nature. So all the time, if one is trying to be going towards the same direction, then just imagine how much of time is being wasted. So that is very important. So basically nature means varna. So horoscope should be matched for compatibility. So that is very important. When we are looking for a partner, horoscope matching has to be done. And between devotees, that is not really necessary. Why? Prabhupada says because devotees are transcendental. So, but as a practice, one should match the horoscopes. And then this varna should be equal, right? So now if the marriage happens within the same varna, then the type of marriage is anulom. It is favorable, and that is what is recommended. If the varna is not same, then it is pratilom. So now again in that the priority should be that you look for the partner of the same community, so same type, so that the start is good, and then we are aligned on the same journey.
Yeah, so the point here is that when we are looking forward to choose the partner to enter Grihastha ashram, we have to set our priorities. What is my priority? Is it that I want to have a better material life? I want to have a bigger house? I want to have 2 cars? I want to have a gift every month? We need to be clear with our priority. What is my priority? My priority is the spiritual progress. So for that, we need to see the commitment of the partner. How committed he is. Is he also having the same priority? We need to check. We can set up some maybe top 5 priorities or something. I want my husband to be serious and sincere in what he is doing. Be honest about whatever he is doing. He should be humorous. We need to have a lively life, family also. So he should be humorous. He should be respecting the elders. He should be taking care of children, needy people. I can have my own set of priorities. So like that, try to set up your priorities. What do you like to do, and what would you want your partner to be doing as well? So if we set up the priority like that, then we can match the priorities, and that helps us have a smooth life together. So of course, our first preference is devotee from the same community. When we have the same community, same family background, same type of upbringing, it really helps us avoid all types of conflicts and clashes. Interreligion marriages among devotees is a second preference. Because when we are devotees, we can, we have the same purpose. So initially we may have some challenges to face, but we can overcome that if we have the same purpose. So if we go for interreligion marriage, it is important to see that he is a devotee of the same level. Otherwise, it's just first preference is marrying in our own religion, because same type of upbringing, same type of the partner should be equals. Even Krishna says to Rukmani that marriage should take place between equals. Equals in what? Equal in beauty, equal in riches, equal in knowledge, equal in position. It can be anything. Equal in our progress on the spiritual path. So we have to try to strike that equality as close as possible. So that is the main thing. By setting up our priority, we check how equal we are. We prefer devotees first, and we prefer our community, our religion first. Otherwise, if our purpose is the same, we can overcome the hurdles. It may take some time, but we will keep advancing together if we are sincere and serious devotees. So another thing is compatibility, the nature. That should be the same. Guidance from seniors. So of course, parents and our mentors in our spiritual society, they should be consulted before taking the final decision if the partner is right for us or not. Yeah, this is a quote by Srila Prabhupada. And if anyone wants to marry, first of all, he must show that he has some earning capacity. Not that because there are so many girls and I marry one to satisfy my senses. I thought that boy was nice and I heard all these stories. And I just get into marriage, into Grihastha ashram with that person. So that should not be the criteria. The man should be, Prabhu also mentioned it, the woman should be chaste and submissive, and the man should be able to earn the livelihood. These are the basic requirements. If the partner is fulfilling those requirements, we should consider that partner. Now the next part is how to enter Grihastha ashram. So there are different kinds of marriages we can talk about. There are 8 kinds of marriages, and what is the best one? We will just focus on that.
So as per Manusmriti, actually, there are 8 types of marriages. So the first one is Brahma marriage. So that's the best, where the boy finishes his brahmachari life and he is eligible for marriage, and the boy then approaches the girl, asks for her hand. So the father does kanyadan. So now for the bride case, the offer has come to her from an eligible bachelor. So this is Brahma marriage. In Deva marriage, so the second type, that is that the father of the girl, he goes out and seeks for a boy. So an offer has not come, but he goes out and seeks. And then whom should he look out for? As per Manusmriti scriptures, it is one should look out for a priest who is engaged in sacrifices and then make that proposal. So now, if you just see in today's times, when the girl is ready, the father looks out for a suitable marriage, and the criteria usually are in modern times. Okay, one should be in IT, working in Bangalore, working in US, earning well. All those aspects, the material platform aspects are seen. The spiritual aspects are not even known and not seen. Then the third type is Arsha marriage. So Arsha marriage is when the father looks for, he looked for some priest and all, that also did not work out. So now handing over the girl to some rishis, So sages maybe might be old, but to get that marriage done, there is like an as per the scriptures an exchange, where the girl is given in marriage to the sage in return of a pair of cows or a cow or a bull. So it's more like a transaction. So that's the third type of marriage. Then Prajapatya marriage. So here this is similar to Brahma marriage, the first one, but there the boy comes to with the offer to the girl. Here the father of the girl goes to the boy. So that's the one difference. And then now these are from the parents' involvement. Now the next type is Gandharva marriage. This is what we see a lot in today's time, where the boy and girl themselves will choose each other and not even letting the parents know. So that type of marriage is Gandharva marriage, and it many times it is against the will of the parents as well. Then Asura marriage. Asura marriage is now the boy wants to marry some girl and is making propositions, like ready to give riches, wealth to the father of the girl to make that relationship happen. So this is called Asura marriage. And then there is Rakshasa marriage. So Rakshasa marriage is when now in the first one, in the previous one, Asura, the boy is willing to give by his own will, whatever wealth he can afford to acquire the hand. In Rakshasa marriage, it is by force. So one would go and destroy, even harm the parents to whatever extent he can go. He wants the hand of the girl, so he will do that. And the girl is obviously not happy. She is crying, weeping for the losses that have happened. So that is Rakshasa marriage. And the last one is Pisach marriage. This one is even worse in the sense that it is by deceit. Now Rakshasa marriage is by force. This one is by deceit. And we see these kind of things also happening, like how people will intoxicate, drug the opposite gender, and then misuse. So one who does like this by deceit a marriage, that is called Pisach marriage. So these are the various type of marriages that are listed. But then again, we have to see what are the type of marriage that one should look for. So Srila Prabhupada says that the Vedic wedding is the best one. A marriage where fire sacrifice is there, fire yagya. Why? Because that is, one is as per our Vedic scriptures, and the other is that invokes and brings about the commitments towards the other person, towards the next step that one is taking. Without fire sacrifice, the commitment aspect is not much. It's more of our sense gratification nowadays. Like we see court marriages happen, or there are various ways of getting married. So the commitments are not to that level. So if one goes as per Vedic ceremony, then the commitments are there, which is the most important aspect. Anything you want to add here? And convincing the parents.
Yeah, taking blessings from parents and Vaishnavas, our elders, is very, very important. As we just talked about in our under our last topic, if we are entering an inter-religion marriage or devotee, if the parents are non-devotee, they are not agreeing for it, we should not hurry. We should be patient. We should try to convince them. Of course, inter-religion, but a devotee. We are not talking about the love marriages that are happening these days. If a devotee we pick up from another religion, parents are not agreeing for some reason, we have to be patient until they are convinced, they agree for it. We should not go ahead with it. We have to explain to them how this marriage is different from the other kinds of marriages they are thinking of. There are not any material expectations out of this marriage. I am willing to marry this person because he is a devotee, I am a devotee, we have the same purpose, we have the same goal, and we can meet that easily together. We have to convince them that we know there will be some challenges, some problems, but we are prepared to overcome that. So unless and until parents are convinced, we should not go ahead with that. We need their blessings. Of course, we need Vaishnava's blessings, our elders' blessings. Now another point for the previous category only, Anulom, Pratilom, what Prabhu just mentioned in brief. Anulom is favorable marriage. That is either a marriage, with the same varna, Brahmana, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Vaishya, Shudra, Shudra, or a girl is allowed to go upwards, not come downwards. If a girl goes downwards, it's a pratilom, it's opposite, it's unfavorable. A Kshatriya girl can marry a Brahmana, but a Brahmana girl cannot marry a Kshatriya. And these days, of course, we are not sure about our varnas. We all are having all types of nature attributes. But still, we have to see what are our commitments, what is our varna. And we should not misunderstand that a girl doesn't have a varna. Varna means our nature. Guna karma vibhagasha. So we all have our gunas, our nature, our qualities that defines our varna. So what kind of nature I have, even girls have that. We should not understand that a girl will naturally get a varna of her father if she's born in that family. After marriage, she will get the varna of husband. It's not like that. Girl has her own nature, her own qualities, and those should be matching.
Prabhupada points kind of talked about it, but
Yeah, so this is again an important quote by Srila Prabhupada. It's taken out from a lecture given in London on 8th of August 1971. So far as you getting yourself married, I have no objection, provided you agree to some points. First of all, you must promise that you will not separate under any circumstances. This word separation, divorce, is not there in our Vedic literature. We need to understand that. There is no scene of separating. If we are picking up a groom on our own, a partner on our own, we have to be really sure if he or she is the right person for us, because then we cannot complain what comes out. It was your ingredient, now it's your recipe. So we have to be doubly sure about that. This marriage is serious business and not to be taken lightly. There is no question of separation in Krishna conscious marriages. Therefore, I am asking all those who want to be married that they sign one paper promising that there will be no separation. And we have seriously seen it in our devotee weddings, how boy and girl, after the fire sacrifice, they sign a commitment and they send it to their spiritual master. That we, under any circumstances, we will not separate from each other. In all odds and events, we will be together. Further on, to be even more sure, Srila Prabhupada initiated a testing time for new Grihastha couples. I have no objection to marriage, but to bless it by a fire sacrifice, that I am thinking if they don't stay together, that is not good. But if they can remain together for 1 year, then there can be a fire sacrifice. But changing 3 times in month, husband and wife, that is not good. This is what Prabhupada is talking to his American disciples. If they want to get into marriage, they will say, Prabhupada, this lady and me, we are good, we have good understanding, we have same purpose, we can enter marriage, you please conduct this fire sacrifice for us. Prabhupada was very serious about conducting a fire sacrifice, a vivaha yajna. Sacrifice means yajna, the fire sacrifice. He says that only if you stay together for 1 year, I want to have a testing time for you both, then only you can have a fire sacrifice. Until then, maybe you can just sign a bond on the paper, you can go for court marriage or anything, but no fire sacrifice. So that is the seriousness of vivaha yajna. Once we commit in front of fire, in front of all the demigods, the Supreme Lord, we should not think of separation.
Okay, last quote. And we have one more important quote from Srila Prabhupada. So in my philosophy, there is no abstinence from sex life. But Krishna consciousness should teach us that sex life is the cause of us becoming conditioned to the material nature. Therefore, advanced Krishna consciousness students should know it well that sex life also should be dovetailed with Krishna consciousness. Better to avoid it, if not possible, to have in a regulated married life. So as we talked about, Grihastha ashram is regulated process. So, and if it is followed as per scriptures, then that is Krishna himself. Dharma virodo bhuteshu kamo asmi. Krishna says that if this propensity, kama, if it is as per religious principles, then that is me. Right? So there is nothing wrong in it. It is not like a taboo or anything. It is just about what state we are in. If we are not able to control, then we should follow into this ashram. So that's the end. Okay, so that's what. Okay, is there one more? No. So that's what we had planned for today's session. We open it up for questions.
In previous slide, you were two slides before. Dev Padaka for Maharaj's questionnaire. What does it mean?
Soft copies.
Huh?
What
So there is a questionnaire. It's a very detailed questionnaire, set of questions around understanding various aspects, the spiritual life, the expectations from the partner. So if you all want, we can share that questionnaire.
So what does that mean, that compatibility? Can you explain a little more?
So compatibility, like we said, no, the varnas. So if the nature is similar, then there is a good head start. If we are not of the same nature itself, then there will always be initial clashes to align ourselves and understand our needs. Yeah.
But how do you judge on that?
So we have to take guidance from our guru again, who will help us understand.
Understand. Sometime. So compatibility, Prabhuji, here is understanding between the two partners. Now, there can be differences. No two individuals can be the same, right? Krishna has created all of us different. We all have our nature. Even the two kids given birth by same parents, brought up under same circumstances in same environment are not same. So how can husband and wife be the same? But we need to have the compatibility, means understanding about the differences also we possess. That I know you have this liking, I have this liking, here I will sacrifice, here you sacrifice, here you tolerate, here I tolerate. So that kind of compatibility we need to have between the partners. Is that okay?
So like the first definition we saw, right, that what is marriage? Mutual cooperation. So we have to be together, aligned, and that will happen when there is compatibility.
Prabhuji, Srila Prabhupada was saying, you especially mentioned it was for foreigner devotees.
Mhm.
Still, tasting time 1 year, getting together. What if they are not like compatible to each other and they are separating? It is still not good if they are.
It's not having any relationship.
Yeah, that commitment, that marriage step is not being taken. So Prabhupada was, he was engaged in conducting all these fire sacrifices, marriages also. But then the devotees were not, at that level for many instances. So then he stopped doing that. He stopped conducting marriages. And that's when, that's the background to when he wrote these messages. That, one should be understanding what this Grihastha ashram is all about. It's about commitment. It's about surrender. So once you're ready, then come forward. And commitment is a big part. And commitment has to be done through fire sacrifice.
So here, but
So
the
he's
last
Not
line,
living together.
no, the last line
No,
what
no.
says, no, I mean the hippies and all, we know all sort of relationships they had, the kind of lifestyle they had. Changing 3 times in a month, husband and wife, that is not good. So if you keep changing your partners frequently, Prabhupada had a concern for that. That stay with one partner for at least 1 year, then only I will allow you to enter the Grihastha ashram by conducting a Vivaha Yajna. Because they people had the illicit relationships, how Prabhupada purified them gradually, and they agreed to get into Grihastha ashram. Many marriages were conducted. So this was the concern by Prabhupada. This is about the seriousness of fire sacrifice we spoke, right? So Prabhupada said that it's not allowed. Today I do Vivaha Yajna with this person, next month you get another girl, and with that girl, this is not going to work out. So they people were having all sort of relationships, but slowly they understood, and by practicing devotional service, how purified they became, and they became committed to one partner, and then only Prabhupada allowed them to enter this yajna. So that's why I said for American disciples, because in India this is not the normal culture. Yeah.
Mataji Prabhuji, you said ideal age for marriage or for marriage 25. Means I'm not saying 18, 14 nowadays. Might be we have tried for a marriage a lot, but it didn't happen. Might be our time has not come. For few people, time, so that what is, we say, when time comes, it will happen. If we have tried a lot, it is not happening. That might be it is destined with another person, which we don't know. Or might be, as Prabhuji and Mataji said, we have in the past, because of which marriage got delayed. Anything could be there. So, what is this about? The time is there for marriage, everything is this time. Because you can see nowadays 30 plus people taking marriage. Beyond 30 this age is crossing.
So that's what, like, we have, this is the guidance to us. What is the best situation? How we should approach this? What is the right time? If we take out, if we are surrendered, then all these things that are happening now to, I want to be settled, I want to be, having a good job and all those things, that is what is causing us delay. And that is where we are going into 30s. And by that time, then we have our own checklist. Now, that's why we're talking about, as well as Jayapataka Swami Maharaj's marriage questionnaire. That's the standard. That's how we should evaluate and check the compatibility, like Prabhu was asking. But what is happening? We are having our own checklist. So I have my likings. So my checklist will be according to that. And then I am like, I should have this career. Then I will start comparing my checklist. By that time, so many things will be knocked off. And then out of, like, if I have 20 things, if all of them are matching, then only I'll proceed. So it's all based on my personal likings. And that will unnecessarily called delay only. So when we are surrendered to the system, to our elders, to Guru, then we depend upon them. And when the time comes, we go for it. Now, yes, as you said, we might not find the right match. There could be delays. But then the point is to be surrendered.
Yes, one thing, Mataji.
Less, that's why we are.
No, one thing, Mataji, is that we start looking for it late. There are delays in even planning to go for it. Why? Because of career. We want to get qualified first, fully qualified, then we want to get a career, a job. So if we have a timely plan to look out for it, then of course it will happen on time. Of course, there is a, as you said, it is destined to be like that or something. So destiny is what we do. My tomorrow will be created by what I do today, right? So if I start planning for it today, if I have a desire to enter Grihastha ashram, I pray to the lordships, I request devotees to bless me and pray for me, then of course we get guided. First thing is we need to have that desire. These days we are not even having the desire to enter the Grihastha ashram. First I should have, and by the time we take a decision, we are like, we become like those two trees. I have my space, nobody should intervene in that. Only if he is earning more than me, only if he is looking, more handsome. The requirements, our needs, they just keep on, increasing. When we are young, we are a sapling, we have less requirements. The checklist increases, that further delays our process.
And just one point, yeah, that as we said, right, the parents, elders, they will, when the time comes, they will look out for the children's marriage. Now, it has to be in the same varna, same community. So that knowledge we will not have. Our parents, elders will have. They know the community, they know who is the right match, So that is one thing. Now, when that starts, when parents start asking the children today's time, no, I'm not ready for it. I have these things to do. So we miss the first bus at that time itself. And then the second point is the types of marriages that I was talking about. So Brahma marriage, that's the best marriage. So which means what? The offer comes to us uninvited. We did not go out looking for a match. It came on its own, which means it is marriage made in, like they say, marriage made in heaven, right? God has the plan. But we are not in that situation, right? We have our own plans. So then again, we miss that opportunity. And then it's all about a struggle only. So when the time comes, we should, be ready and approach that.
Yeah, but there's nothing to be disheartened. Yeah.
Many times I have seen the people will say, I don't want to marry,
Yeah.
I don't want to marry, and suddenly a person comes under to their mind changes,
Mhm.
and they get married.
Mhm.
And many times the person is saying, I want to get married. Might be internally they are not ready, that God knows, but their desire is, and okay, like Prabhu said, they might have checklist, but or might be they, like in my case, I couldn't come out of the person whom I loved, and he got married to someone else. So it took me time to come out. I couldn't come out. So now I want marriage. I don't know when it will happen.
Yeah, we will pray for you, Mataji. So in this case, as Prabhu said, we just need to surrender. We need to have a sincere desire and pray to the Lord what kind of partner you want. Just don't enter with anybody in hurry. We need to have the right partner also to enter the Grihastha ashram who can help us achieve the goal of life. And don't be disheartened. Yeah, it happens suddenly sometimes, वो हिंदी में there's a saying, फेरा रात लिखी हुई है. We have heard this from our parents and elders. So yeah, normally it is like, somehow or other arrangements are made around that time and the marriage happens at that point of time. But these days we are avoiding that. Initially, when we are studying, proposals are coming. We send proposals come, but that time, as Prabhu said, we just say that no, ignore it. I'm not thinking about all this. I am focusing upon other aspects of life. And that causes the further delay. और उसके बाद में फेरा रात लिखी हुई है या नहीं कब आएगी, that God only knows. So we don't have to be disheartened in any way. But while the delays are caused, we just have to practice devotional service. We have to keep ourselves pure. We have to keep advancing on this path. Not that only after entering Grihastha ashram I will start. We don't have to become the thieves. We have to avoid all sort of illicit things, even thoughts. We have to be pure as possible. Okay, we'll definitely pray for you, Mataji.
Prabhuji there had a question.
Nowadays we are seeing that earlier it was long distance relationship. Nowadays it is becoming long distance marriage also. Now we have seen certain cases wherein they marry, but boy stays in some other cities, girl stays in some other city. Okay. What is your opinion for this aspect of actually criteria? Because you have stated certain criteria. So they may be in the same varna, but what happens, they think, because there is more attachment to the money. You are seeing money. So that's what can be one of the criteria which you can actually focus on. Because when they will be searching, they have to think on that perspective.
Yes, Prabhuji. First of all, our criteria is different. It's not money. We are talking, here about Grihastha ashram. Ashram is where Krishna is in the center. No, that is Grahamedi type of people who just focus on other things, other material aspects of life. We are here focusing on Grihastha ashram. So only if the person has Krishna in the middle, he takes shelter of the Krishna, ashram of Krishna, then only we consider that proposal. And these cases are happening, of course, because people have become, they want to they want to become Grahamedis. They don't want to become Grihasthas. They have other priorities in life. We have to set our priority in life. Money, the girl is not ready to compromise. She doesn't want to sacrifice the career, and boy definitely doesn't want to. Both of them are in a race. This is actually the influence of media also, which has just put a seed in our mind of equality. This equality, in some way, it has created a big nuisance in our society. We need to understand we are equals or we are not equals. We are different. Nobody is superior or inferior. It's about the difference. Girls are different, boys are different. We have our own nature. Girls are compassionate, soft-hearted by nature. Boys are more mature. They can handle tough situations better in general. We are not saying that all the girls, all the boys are like that. So in general, it is like that. So it's influence of media also that girls are considered inferior. They have to become equal. So they are in a race to just become equal. They have to earn more than their husband. They don't worry about, planning. And same thing, then what are the concerns? We are having late children, late marriages, late children, or no children. The next consequence now is no children. They go for all sort of artificial things, which is just not allowed by our scriptures. It's not authentic. Freezing the ovum, IVF, and what all, it has become every second center. In previous days, it was just at very, some special place we would hear that there is a hospital like this. Now it has become a very common thing. These are the consequences, and they are not authentic. We definitely have to avoid that. And long distance marriages is very unfortunate for our society. So that's why we have to enter into Grihastha ashram at the right age with the right person so that we can benefit the society also.
How are we doing on time, Prabhuji?
Yes.
There are several questions still.
Mataji. One Prabhu, one Mataji. Yeah, one Prabhu, one Mataji. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the session. With your kind permission, I have a question. So, if there is someone who knows that the purpose of life is to advance in Krishna consciousness, and they are not really bothered by any sense gratification, but in spite of that, there are some elders or someone from, like, Vaishnavas who suggest that they should still marry. So what about such situations when that person has decided that they want to advance in Krishna consciousness independently, but there are someone who is suggesting that they should still?
So especially for girls, Mataji, it is not permitted that they should live single. Huh? It's not safe, first of all, for them physically. Then at the mental level, at the emotional level, they need support. No, actually both the sides need support, but girls need more support. That's why according to our Vedic system, girl has to be taken care by father in initial days, then her husband, and then son. So she should be under protection. And that is nothing, there's nothing wrong about it. We should not think that she's incapable to take care of her and somebody else has to take care of her. That is a good thing for us. We should appreciate that. In our culture, we have somebody to, to think about us, to look after us. That's a good thing. We need support system, especially for girls. And for boys, they have to be really genuine. Do they really don't have any desire? Not only on physical platform, on mental and emotional platform also. Especially as we grow old. Now we think that we are working, we are busy, we don't need anybody in life, we are doing good on our own, we have friends, we have our parents to look after us. But as the time progresses, they will not be around us all the time. And the people around us, our friends so-called, they will also have their own lives. So how lonely we would be that time. That's why this ashram was made in a systematic way. At an age, you enter into this. This will keep you safe in all ways. Avoid mental stress at mental level, at emotional level. The support system is needed. So you have to be really sure, especially for girls, it is not permitted in ISKCON. Our Guru Maharaj, he allowed only 2 devotees from Mayapur to stay celibate, but he just made sure that they are staying in ISKCON premises. They get all sort of protection, they get all sort of care and support when needed. And not just one girl, 2 girls. So at least 2 of you have to be together. A single girl should not be there. So only under special circumstances by our senior Vaishnavas, if they consider it appropriate, they can decide about it. Okay.
There's one couple of questions that have come here. So for Brahma marriage, the type of marriage that we talked about, one should stay in Brahmachari ashram for how many years before marriage? So like we saw Srila Prabhupada recommended, right? 25 years of age. So till 25, one can be in Brahmachari ashram and then get into Grihastha ashram, if that is what they want to go forward. And following that is like, what kind of Brahmachari, base or full time? So what's the difference between base or full time? So in base, one is continuing with the engagement with the material work. The question is from you, right? So one is carrying out the material duties, right? He's doing his job and everything, and also practicing spirituality. And full time is now the level of surrender is increased, detachment completely and just taking shelter of, Prabhupada, Krishna, and staying with devotees. So that again depends upon the level of surrender one wants. If one is thinking that, okay, I want to surrender to Krishna, to Guru, Prabhupada, and maybe not go into Grihastha ashram, I want to stay in complete surrender, then one can continue, come into the Brahmachari ashram and move forward. If one is not sure, one can stay in base. But doesn't mean that one has come as in full time in ashram and then he cannot go into Grihastha ashram. If he thinks at later point of time that no, I am not able to, manage, maybe I need some, support, and let me go into, that option is always there. So it depends upon the level of surrender.
How many years one should stay in Brahmacharya ashram before entering marriage? Like you said till 25. But
Starting from the
25 or
beginning.
2 years, 3 years, because in today's time we are not from
Okay, from the beginning. So till 5 years, Prabhupada says that one should, play and have, fun time. After 5, one should start you know.
No, he's just saying that these days now it can't be counted from 1 to 25 because we entered into this mission a little later. So it might have been just a few months or 1 year only. So for how long we should be there and try to test ourselves, right? Yeah. So it takes some time, Prabhuji. It's not that in a few months or just in a year you can decide that I am good and I just want to stay here forever. I want to be a full time. That only you can decide. You know, what's your level? Be honest to yourself. How disturbed you are, you know, at all the levels. How distracted you are by people around you, the opposite gender around you. That only you can decide how much time you need to practice devotional service and to test yourself. Because once you decide not to get married and the time passes by, it gets difficult. You know, from brahmachari, initial days of brahmachari, you can come back, you can enter grihastha ashram, but that has its own side effects then. You know, late marriage, late children, and becomes difficult to cope with the opposite gender also. You know. So even if we both are practicing devotional service, we have some differences. You know, he likes to read, I like to hear. How do we, you know, cope with that problem? He likes Mangala Arti, I like Gaura Arti. So how do we plan all that? Huh? He wants to read Bhagavatam first, I want to read Bhagavad Gita first. So we can have all sort of differences in devotional life also. So for that also, Prabhuji, we need to have compatibility. You know, for that also compatibility is needed, that okay, these days we will read Srimad Bhagavatam, these days we will read Bhagavad Gita, you do Mangala Arti, I will do Gaura Arti, and once in a while you sit with me, we will hear together. And I mean, what I am hearing, he want to hear what he want to hear. And I want to read what I want to read. But once in a while, at least, it's a good practice to have it together, reading time together, hearing time. But if we have difference, I'm just giving an example. It's not like, you know, as such in our case, but we should plan it like that.
And
So,
surrender is important.
yeah.
So, you know, Prabhuji should.
So,
I mean, it's
Prabhuji-
an opportunity to increase your surrender. You know?
Yeah.
Eventually, we have to surrender to Krishna. So, Grihastha Ashram is giving us that opportunity to learn. You know? So, the more you surrender, the faster you progress.
And Prabhuji, like as I said, from brahmachari initial days, you can come back to grihastha, but it has its own consequences then. But from vanprastha ashram, sannyasa ashram, if your desires were somewhere subtle, not satisfied, there is a risk of fall down. So you should purify yourself, you should become strong, practice, you know, go in a progression. That's why this progression is must. And then go for it.
So you should not just look at numbers, you know, as you were saying, that our state of sense control. So dhyate vishyan pumsa, right? Are we getting into that snowball? You know, where are we able to stop ourselves? That's a litmus test, you know. We can judge.
What sense?
Huh?
Stop in what sense?
Like
Urges.
urges. You know, anything that we see, if we start contemplating on it, then we start getting into that cycle, right? So are we able to stop? Are we able to come out of it? The more we get into that cycle, the more difficult it is to come out of it. So that is a test of how strong are we in our senses. So that way we can judge ourselves. But again, eventually it is our...
We'll have just one last question.
Like you told about marrying with the same community. So like I just joined and my family is not a devotee and I am a devotee. If I am marrying with the Mataji, like which is entire family is a devotee, then how the marriage will be? Marriage is between two families. So how will the cooperation among them be?
So many devotee.
Devotees
I don't know
are
if I got it
transcendental as
right.
Prabhupada
Yeah,
said.
devotee, but from another community. Devotee from your community.
Yeah, like I'm in my family, just I'm a devotee.
Okay.
And the Mataji, like the entire family is a devotee. So when marriage takes place, like how will the connection between
Inter.
So
The girl sides are full family is a devotee, huh? Okay. They will fall in place, Prabhuji. First of all, yeah, because devotees, they are mature enough. If there is, you know, the other side is, because it's not just a union of two people. It's a union of two families. It's a teamwork. Parents come together, our relatives come together, two souls come together. So it's a teamwork as per our culture. And devotees are very intelligent, as Prabhupada says. They are mature enough how to deal with, you know, as of now, non-devotees. You never know when will they become devotees. So they know how to deal with them. So not a problem. Devotees can sacrifice, compromise, adjust and encourage and inspire them to take up to devotion.
Try to explain them, convince them.
Yeah, yeah. So by example, by example we preach. So, if your parents are not devotees, they will see that, how this devotee family is doing good together, how they are making some meaning out of their life. Of course, we also, it's not that, problems are not there, problems are there, but how we are coming out of it undisturbed. How we avoid miseries. We can't avoid problems, but we can avoid miseries. So the different lessons, other people, outside people, they get to learn from devotees and they get inspired. So we have to set a good example for them. So it's a good thing only for them. They're getting association, they're getting into some relation with the devotee family. That's a wonderful thing. Hare Krishna. There would be no time for sadhana and all. No much time. Okay. Again, Prabhuji, we have to set up our consumed, Prabhuji. Yeah.
That's the laddu.
Yeah. So
We don't want to discourage you from getting into the ashram or discourage you from staying there. So it's again the priorities of life. If we have our priorities clear, then Krishna will make time. As you rightly said, there's so many things to do and can't do, everything. But we have to have our priorities and dependence surrender to Krishna. He will make it happen.
So Prabhuji, the time consumption is because we have some duties. Duty towards our family, towards society, towards relatives. आज किसी की शादी है, आज किसी की engagement है, birthday party है. We are obliged to attend all that. So उन सब में भी time जाता है. We have some other commitments in Grihastha ashram, and then we have commitment towards our partner. We have to spend some time with her. We have commitment towards children, towards our parents. So these things just eat up. In Brahmachari ashram, you are free from all that, Others are taking care of you. Now you are in a position to take care of others. So it definitely takes care. No, there's nothing to be afraid of it. Everything has its own good and bad. We check the pleasures and sacrifice for every ashram. Yeah, just like that.
And around that point only, that Grihastha ashram, there's so many things to be taken care of. So one might not be able to devote time to so much of reading of scriptures and hearing and all that. But minimum we should not compromise. So 16 rounds of chanting is not compromisable, and 4 regulatory principles, right? Beyond that, that's where Grihastha ashram, that support system is there. I don't have that much time, but I will look forward to hearing, associating with other devotees. So devotees from Brahmachari ashram, sannyasis, senior devotees, disciples of Prabhupada, when they come, we should go and make time to go and attend and hear from them. So it's not that if I'm Brahmachari ashram, the life that I'm living, and immediately I go into Grihastha ashram, I want to continue that life. It will not work. So you have to just get an opportunity to hear from others and then move on.
That's being hypocrite then. In Grihastha ashram, I want to practice Brahmacharya or Vanprastha ashram, that's cheating. We don't have to do that. Okay? And Grihastha ashram has its own plus points. When seniors come, we get an opportunity to host them, to serve them. Grihastha ashram, it basically supports all the 3 ashrams. It's a wonderful ashram. But with some more responsibilities, and for carrying out those responsibilities, we become more and more dependent upon Krishna. And that is the main goal of life. We have to surrender to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, once again, we would like to thank on behalf of ISKCON, AECS of Whitefield, Grace Uttam Chaitanya Prabhuji and Grace Ashwini Mataji for coming and